Benghazi Rabbit YouTube channel. Thank you very much for being here. I know you have had a very hectic past couple of days. So let's just get right into it. I know the situation was I how I learned about this whole situation was I received an email from somebody named John.
That video is 2 years old. That was a couple of years old, guys. That's way back when it got arrested a couple of years ago. You know? That was a couple of years ago.
A few days ago, alerting me that you had been arrested in Easley, South Carolina. I reached out to the police department, and it was funny because at that time, nobody was even picking up the phone to answer a simple question, and that question was whether you were apprehended or not. So it actually took me until the next day until I was able to.
Okay, hold on.
The story, and they had advised me on the phone that you had been apprehended on trespassing and resisting arrest charges, and that you would be.
Okay, guys, I'm going to hold on, guys. I'm going to send the link to website. Hold on. Give me 1 minute, website, okay? Guys, give me a couple of minutes. Okay, guys, this interview, it's 2 years ago. Today I went. Oh, I got a lot of information. You guys won't believe it. You know, I got his chemical records. That's gonna be another life. You know, oh my God. Today we're going to play the video. It's a 46 minutes video. 6 minutes. I'm going to stop and play it. I checked that video. It's no copyrights. This guy have nothing. You know, I'm sharing these guys the video. I'm gonna wait for my co-host get up. Give me a couple minutes, guys. At 6:30, 12 for Live is gonna have a open panel. After this video, please jump on this channel. You know. Okay, I'm gonna play the video again.
Held in custody until your bond trial. That was the word they used. So I couldn't believe it when I heard it. So the first thing I just want to ask you is, what brought you to Easley, South Carolina on June 29th, 2023?
All right, so Thursday, June 29th, 2023, this past Thursday, what brought me to Easley, South Carolina actually was a series of events. And it just so happened that our wonderful ex-president, Donald Trump, was speaking relatively close by. So What brought me here was a sequence of events, and we'll back it up just a little bit. The sequence of events started actually in Charlotte County, Florida. This started by Charlotte County, Florida, having a county ordinance that says you can't record in a government building. Well, we all know that's not true. So after doing some stuff down there and getting some written trespasses on the record for the White Rabbit for this unconstitutional.
I thought Red Rabbit doesn't do no audits. I thought so. That's I'm confused. I thought he doesn't do no cop watching audits. Huh? West side. I thought he doesn't do no audits. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Violation. I shifted up to South Carolina for multiple reasons. Because was going to cover a quick story about a superintendent being forced to resign for all his stuff. There's a good story about that, but also cover the president and his rally and stuff out here. So it was a sequence of events, and easily just happened to be in line with that. So there was an older story that was published about Easley. So my attention was already drawn towards the city hall about something else. But during the course of events from Charlotte County, easily got back on the radar because they have a city ordinance that directly mimics Charlotte County, Florida, with the Andy Sheets case and the trespass and things like that. So me being here in the moment, I wanted to conduct my constitutional protected activities on the steps of City Hall with my signs and everything. There was no intention to actually go inside the building. However, in the course of the day, being in the rabbit outfit, I wanted to see if I could use the public facilities, if there were any public facilities available, because I really did need to use the restroom. So that is on the record why I stated why I needed to go in. So that's what brought me there originally. It was first I want to see how much money they put into it, but during the course of events, learning more about this city ordinance that they directly mimicked from Charlotte County, Florida, which I had just dealt with like a couple days prior. So it's like, okay, we can see what Easley's up to as well, since we're right here. And
okay, why doesn't he mention that? Like right now. Oh, I'll get audits, things like that. Inside what doesn't he explain his background? You know. That's 2 years ago. I thought he doesn't do no cop watching or audits.
Then we're going to the next news.
Well, it almost sounds to me like a little bit of a road trip. You started in Florida and you're working your way along the country.
Yeah, so it happened to work out in this time period because a friend of mine was in France. So the Florida trip just happened to coincide, and everything worked out to where it led me to Easley that Thursday, June 29th.
Interesting. So before we get into what actually happened, I first want to start with sort of the layout of where you were at. So you were at City Hall in Easley, South Carolina. Is that correct?
Correct. I was at the City Hall in Easley, South Carolina. And
walk me through sort of
the layout and stuff. So for anyone who's watching and doesn't have a backstory, you can check out For Officer Safety on YouTube. He has a video that lays out, because he did an audit of this building. So it lays out the layout for you. So in the center of City Hall, they actually have a two-part property. It's divided by a road that goes towards the Sally Port to the police department. So they have this big green area that leads up to City Hall as well, and then the City Hall property itself. The City Hall is kind of what you expect, a brick building, but then it has two staircases on either side that lead up and then turn up into like an upper walkway patio type deal that you go inside the main City Hall. There's a bottom office for planning and development, I believe, that is around this courtyard. Now, it's recently landscaped and everything within the past few years, so they definitely put a lot of money into doing this whole exterior of City Hall. It's very nice, it's nice. It's a nice place. It's a good atmosphere. So where I was doing it on the steps of City Hall itself because it's an elevated platform. so I could have some pretty good sight line of my message and the rabbit itself. And I was trying to stay out of the way of anyone who was coming up to actually use City Hall, because there were some the family that went in prior. So I was trying to stay out of the way. I was staying in the corners, and the rabbit's very cumbersome in the sign and everything. So I was doing what I can. So I was moving back and forth between both staircases in the corners just to keep moving. So directly in the entrance of City Hall, like on the actual steps of City Hall, that's where I was positioned.
Yeah. And how would you describe what you were doing that day? Was it a protest? Were you out there to talk to people? Like, what specifically was your goal for that
So
day?
I wanted to learn more about the city itself,
Mhm.
and my activities all coincide with multiple elements of the First Amendment. So lately, I've just continued to take my signage with me, the F Biden sign that's very controversial, because that brings people in and it draws an attention there. The true aspect of it.
Hey, Wilson, did he say he believed the First Amendment? Huh? You there, Westside? Oh, go ahead. Oh, no. Did he say he's a First Amendment guy? Then, if he was the First Amendment guy, why doesn't he tell you the truth going on with Lion One? Interesting. Very interesting. Okay? Because I will continue the video now.
Is to see what people's
Mhm.
thoughts are, if they have anything they want to talk about or anything like that. It's just shock value that used to bring people out. So I was there. I did a prayer in the morning, as I usually do, but I was there redressing my grievances against the current president of the United States. But I also wanted to inquire more about the city as well. So I just used that, and I also had my camera set up and everything in case there were any
It's weird.
potential people to come up, do an interview or anything, and
It
talk on the
is.
record. So
Can
I
you
had
hear me
multiple
now?
aspects I was covering
Yeah.
it easily that day.
Okay.
So I like to take things in a very chronological fashion. I saw the video, and we'll get more into that in a moment. But it seemed like there was some police officers speaking with some people that you were accompanied with that day prior to anything breaking out. Is that true? Do I have that timeline correct?
Yes, I believe so.
What were they? What were they? What was all that about? Were they trying
So
to trespass you? Were they trying to talk to you?
that I can't give any comment to.
Because you weren't there.
I was not there, nor
Yeah.
have I seen the footage from their end.
Yeah.
I do know that from my viewing angle with the limited sightline I did have while in the rabbit outfit, I did notice these two unidentified gentlemen come up. Now, you say they're police officers, but they still aren't identified to me.
Mhm.
They haven't given me their name or anything like that. So I don't know what the material in question of the conversation was, so I can't speak for those two gentlemen.
Well, from the perspective of them at that time, it looked like it was two gentlemen, and then I believe it was two police who walked up to these two gentlemen. And at that point, you were making your way. It looked like you were in front of City Hall, about to walk in, when these two police officers spoke to these other two gentlemen you were accompanied with that day. So
Correct.
that's what it looked like.
So about that time is when I was doing a walk around of the courtyard. I would call it a courtyard. I'm not entirely sure what the
Yeah.
correct nomenclature would be for that specific area out front of the building. But I was checking it out and notating the different landscaping and brickwork as well, and just checking out the general grounds of the facility. Those gentlemen did end up walking past me and going inside the facility. So when I placed my GoPro down on the steps at one location where I stood, I started recording on my secondary camera, my handheld camera, and I had 8 minutes of footage of those gentlemen inside discussing things with the other gentlemen inside before I decided to go in to inquire about using a restroom facility.
Yeah. And so let's just pick it up from there. And that's correct, because it looks like at some point you set down a camera or a GoPro or whatever it was. You set it up on maybe perhaps a tripod, and the rabbit is standing there with a sign, and then at some point you walk your way up the stairs and you walk in to City Hall. I guess this is the front entrance or an entrance into City Hall. So let's just get into it. Let's pick it up right from there. We see you walking up the stairs. We see you go inside the building. Tell me what it is that happens as soon as you walk in to that building. Give me like the 5-minute window of what transpired from the moment you walk in that door.
So as soon as I opened the door, and I waited a few moments. That's why I did have a few minutes of footage of them standing in the doorway and everything on my handheld, because they were right in front of the doorway, blocking the doorway. So I didn't want to potentially open the door and someone fall as he was leaning on the door or anything like that. So I waited for them to move from the doorway so I could gain entry to the building. Once I opened the door, the way the lobby's laid out, immediately when you open the door and past the threshold of the door, there's like a little table or something blocking your way from what I remember.
Okay, you guys, what do you think his appearance looked like? Westside, what do you think his appearance looked like? His appearance. His body language.
I mean, like he was more like wanting to do this interview, like he was more of sound in mind. Unlike his recent conversations have been wild and out of control kind of thing.
Remember, that's a couple years ago, guys.
Right.
We are looking his body language from a couple years ago from now to his language now. Look at his body language, people. I'm playing a couple years ago from a couple years to now, That's I'm getting the facts, Why he's like this from a couple years to now,
Right.
Also, it was very hard to see in the rabbit. That's why I used the phone as an extension of my eye, so I can see clearly later what obstacles may have been in my way. Directly to my left, there was an open seat that was available in the corner, because there was also people inside that I mentioned earlier who was using the services of City Hall. I'm not sure what those services were. So I immediately went in, turned, and sat down in the chair. As soon as I sat down in the chair, the gentleman who was standing to the right in the doorway, I'm not sure who this gentleman is. People have identified him in the comments.
You say gentleman, are we talking about an officer? Or are we just talking about...
I don't believe he's an officer. I believe he's a city official at this point. It's still unknown. People have called his name out in the chat who they suspect this gentleman to be, but once we obtain some records, we will properly identify this man. This man is, well, we'll get to this point. So he said that I need to put my camera away. So I raised my camera up a little bit so I could see who this gentleman was through my eyes, through the camera. And as soon as I did that, he pointed to the other gentleman in question, which you say are police officers. So they said to me, the one gentleman in the blue shirt, I believe it was, said to me that I am being trespassed. I need to leave. I was like, okay, may I have that in writing, please? My name is White Rabbit. And he said, may I have your ID? I just said my name is White Rabbit, sir. And as I said that, I started to stand up. The moment I stood up, because he didn't accept the White Rabbit name, the moment I stood up, his right hand went and grabbed my arm, and his left hand went to attempt to take my iPhone out of my right hand as I was holding it right there. And immediately there, I pulled back. Now, at this moment, I'm not sure if the iPhone cut off.
You guys believe that? Huh?
No.
I agree. You guys believe that in the chat? Press 1, yes. Press 2, no.
Due to him grabbing it in such a way, and I will demonstrate like this. Now with the iPhone, if he grabs it in such a way and hits one of the volume buttons, it'll stop the recording. So with his movement there, I'm not sure if he actually did disable the recording at that moment or not, but I pulled away and started moving towards the door. As I stood up, because I told him I was standing up to leave, and I was leaving since he would not accept the White Rabbit name that I used. So I was moving to the door. As I moved to the door further, the gentleman grabbed me from behind, and started to pull me down onto the ground. No one identified themselves as law enforcement. No one told me what I did wrong, that I was being trespassed for, as I asked for it in writing. And immediately thereafter, as I was leaving the premises, because there needs to be some sort of reasonable time to allow me to leave the premises, being in such a bulky outfit and everything. And this was it within 60 seconds, if that. They had taken me to the ground and started doing some techniques to get my hands behind my back and remove the phone from my hand.
You know why I don't believe it? Because I can't find no video of him at all on a courthouse website. No video on him doing an audit. That's why I don't believe him. You know?
Well, and then there probably is video. He probably just didn't post it, or he deleted it. Who knows?
I'm talking like any channels. You know, I type it in. Nothing,
well, because he's not very popular, and he's done some questionable things that some of the auditors or First Amendment people don't, want to be associated with. Right, and not so. Okay. I don't want to assume, but I want to assume that she didn't do her background checks and stuff on him. Because she was thinking, he's presenting himself to be like this Christian person now, and then he's not talking about God and this stuff, and right now hasn't mentioned it at all. So when did that start?
Because look at his demeanor. He's not upset when they got arrested. He's calm. You know how a lot of people got interviewed when they get arrested, they get pissed off when they have interviews. The auditors get that kind of upset, emotion,
right. Right.
Him, he didn't. You know what I'm thinking? I'll bet you. You know why he didn't get arrested? I'll bet he knows cops are friends with him. I want him.
Well, yeah, and that's the whole thing, right? Like, so even like this investigation, now that people's done a little bit more, and he's getting a little intel from the other people around him. Now we got this arm dealer was I think an ex-sergeant in the military or something like that.
There's another story too. I have background check on him today. Oh my God, I'm going to send you that later on. Another one. Big case. First the video I'm telling you today.
That's going on right now, or?
Oh, you be surprised.
Okay,
well, surprised.
He's not going to be happy you sharing it, but who gives a fuck,
don't care.
Right?
It's public records.
I know.
I paid $24 for it. It's called public records,
Yeah, there you go. At least you're doing public records and getting the information.
Mm-hmm.
While this was happening, I was also in full outfit, and my face was smushed down into the ground by whomever it was. I do not know who was behind me. I couldn't see who was attacking me, taking me down to the ground. My face was pushed into the mask to where I couldn't breathe at that point, and I started screaming for help. The officers then forcefully removed my face mask, my rabbit mask, excuse me, and also removed the medical fan device I have on the back to keep circulation for air. They threw that away from me across the room and I saw pieces being broken off of it at that point. I asked for it back to at least blow air onto me, and they refused to do so. I asked for them to provide me with some fresh air or open the door, and they refused to do so. Finally, when they got the handcuffs on me, at that point, I was completely physically restrained at that point against my will. Like I said, no one identified themselves as law enforcement. They didn't tell me what was going on. So I was in fear for my life. But the thing is, Levi, that the dude in the blue shirt, this so-called police officer who has yet to be identified, he said that he is in direct fear for his life to me. But there's 3 people around me with firearms, and I was sitting there thrown against the ground against my will as I was in full compliance trying to leave the premises. We progress further, maybe 30 seconds to another 60 seconds further, because at this point I'm overheating and I can't properly keep track of time because I'm completely overheating. They just throw me to the ground at this point. Now I'm asking for fresh air. They won't provide me with fresh air. So I start moving around a little bit because I'm being held, and I was just thrown to the ground. When more officers arrive inside the facility, and I believe you can coincide this moment with the GoPro footage where the officers come running back because I heard the radio go off. I wasn't sure what the call was or anything, but more officers arrive, and then they start to take me down to the ground again. I did actively resist this because I was in fear for my life. I didn't know what was going on. There were guys surrounding me trying to do this. They weren't allowing me fresh air. They took me down to the ground again and started doing more techniques on me. And at this point, they ended up hobbling my feet together to where I was completely incapacitated for movement. So they did it. It was for a camera, Levi. And it was so fast that I'm trying to record these events, and it happened within 2 to 4 minutes. It was unbelievable. And when these officers took me to the ground the second time, I felt so scared that that something would happen to me. That I was screaming for help at this point. No one in that city office offered any assistance to me for that illegal detention and assault that those police officers did. No one identified themselves to me. No one told me what was going on or anything. Soon after that, they took me
I
into
don't
the
believe
police
you.
cruiser through the side entrance. They confiscated all of my material and held me for almost the entire 72 hours. So that's what happened.
Yeah, and you've
And
opened
I'm
a
sorry,
lot of,
Levi. I'm a
no,
little
no.
shaken up recalling these
You
events.
you have every right to be. One of the things I want to touch on, and we'll get to what happened after that in a minute, but I have seen the video where you were yelling, "Help, help, help me." And the first thing that I think to myself is where, and I'm not saying the people you were with did anything wrong, but the first thing that I think to myself is where are these people you are with? There is no way in my mind, if I heard anybody, let alone somebody I knew this person yelling like that, I would be rushing, running to find out what is going on. Who is it that needs help? I mean, to put it frankly, you are screaming for your life in this video. I would have been running. People a mile away could have heard you. Where was the people rushing to your aid, to your defense, to your rescue?
Well, unfortunately, I didn't have any support resources. The rabbit handler was indisposed at the time, and the people I was with were already placed on trespass for this illegal and unconstitutional violation of their civil rights. So
Do you believe that? What I said?
I don't believe the shit he says.
I know. I know. If people were screaming, if it was screaming, the cops would come and say what's going on. That's my opinion.
I
You
agree.
know?
I agree. Wingspan. No, not necessarily because the cops are the ones that are attacking him, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, but I didn't see the attack. No video on an attack. You know? You guys, I'm playing this video to see what you think on his appearance. You know? Yeah, I agree with you, Angel. I agree with you. Okay.
there was no way that these gentlemen could come to my defense for the clear deprivation of my rights under color of law, because they also would have been forced into the same situation. We're talking people who have also other medical conditions and everything like that. I believe, and I will strongly attest to this over and over, that they were in the right place and they were where they needed to be.
Okay.
There was no reason for them to go in and risk their personal safety or their anything with their medical and face
Liar.
potential jail time more so than I would for violating this trespass that's on file to come to my rescue. I knew that they would start the process and then start informing the world what just happened. So a lot, and I've seen a lot of comments from people. So I do want to just tell people they did exactly what they needed to do. They started making phone calls. They started the whole process to get me out. People need to understand that although that I was violently attacked by these Gestapo agents, there was no reason for someone to go in and knowingly violate the law for that. They did
Exactly,
exactly what they needed to do.
Gio.
Phone calls were made immediately. Like,
Exactly.
if we can reference the live stream, I do believe phone calls were immediately made to attorneys. So they started the process and everything. So unfortunately, in the day and age where we have to do these things, I think that they did everything they could. If they weren't placed on trespass or had prior medical issues and stuff, and could deal with the things that I deal with or Christopher Ruff or other activists deal with, then yes, they would have came running in. Unfortunately, we didn't have the support system in place that day at that current moment to have others come in and assist. But Levi, I do believe that they did exactly what they needed to do. So I don't want to put any fault to them for that, but
So
I
do
do
I.
appreciate you bringing that up. So I do want to put some clarification out there for people, so that just know, people, that phone calls were made immediately for those guys.
Yeah, yeah. No video. No, that was a couple years ago. I type it in.
Guys, they did exactly what they needed to do, and you can see they were even pushed back further because those two people that claim to be police officers pushed them back further. And I've talked to them off the record
No,
about
there's not going to be
and they
video
said
because
that
he
they
probably
were
deleted it.
attacking
I
to
never even
involve
had
us
it.
even more. They were closer to the action
Exactly.
originally, but were forced off.
Or
So we're
Sean
all
Porter might have
law-abiding
it.
citizens here. Every time
Because
we
remember,
do
he
this,
went out with
we
Sean
follow
Porter.
the law. So I don't want someone to knowingly break the
Yeah, that's
law,
what I don't.
although
That's
we
what I
know
don't
it's an
understand.
unconstitutional and
Okay,
unjust thing.
that's
We'll
what
fight it
I,
in the courts.
that's
Pause
what
it.
There's
I'm
no
doing.
reason for
Hold
them
on.
to get hemmed up over something, and we see that easily is a very corrupt place. So
Why doesn't he mention Sam Porter on the interview? Huh? Maybe it doesn't happen. Maybe he's lying. You know?
I mean, this one he might have done something on his own, or he went with somebody. Because I mean, I don't know, or he was just learning at the time. I don't know.
But look at his appearance. Look how he's talking.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think this is when he was first starting out, maybe, or I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Oh no, because I gotta stop the video and expand. Um, if I don't, I would get copyright strike. You know what I mean? But the video isn't copyright. I checked it. It's fine. I'm stopping it as in case. Where's that told me? To stop it little by
He's
little.
covering his butt, in other words, you
Yeah,
guys.
exactly. Yes, yes.
I thank them for everything that they did. I really do.
Who?
Yeah. So prior to your
Name the
entrance
people.
of that building, nobody had said anything to you. You hadn't been given a trespass. You essentially walked into that building with the camera. They told you to put the camera away. You asked them that you wanted to be trespassed in writing. Gentleman came over, tried to grab your hand, and you said, I believe you said this was all within 60 seconds.
Very, very, very fast.
Wow.
Very fast. If we can obtain,
And this is a public building. Like, this is no question. This is at the City Hall
correct
facility.
It was so fast, Levi, that I was not able to look around the public lobby to actually get a full sense of my surroundings. All I was able to ascertain with my vision at the time was when I immediately sat down, there was a citizen directly to my left, as like the wall here. So he was sitting right here next to me in the other available chair. But these three gentlemen came and surrounded me in the corner. That's how fast it was, Levi. It was within the original 30 seconds of me sitting down that they had
Hey, man.
interacted and physically touched me for a camera.
And this all took place while you're in the suit, yes?
Correct.
The other thing that I wanted to touch on real quickly was you had
Oh,
made
also,
the-
I would like to have
Right?
this on the record. The suit is also damaged. They did rip the suit in the course of this attack. So yes, I was in full suit, and the suit is damaged at this point.
Oh my goodness. And another thing that you mentioned was before I even asked this question, to damage that suit right there shows you that you would have had to be some type of aggressive to rip that suit. However, one of the things you mentioned to me was that at some point they hogtied your feet, or they hogtied.
They
something.
hobbled. They physically restricted my feet together. They tied my feet together with some restraint device. I heard them say hobble. I've seen it as a hog tie and stuff. And then they tried to stand me up.
You guys believe that? Yes or no?
No.
No. I never heard that.
I mean, I believe that they did what they. Yeah, I mean, I believe they did what they did. What's up, Reluctant Prophet? What's up, Bill?
But
Welcome in. And yeah, well, if he was kicking and furling and stuff like that, they're gonna hog tie you. And remember, he's in a rabbit outfit, so obviously they're thinking he's probably deranged.
I agree with you, Andrew. I agree, yeah.
If I was innocent and people were doing all these live streams, I would be shouting out from the rooftop, proclaiming my innocence.
Exactly. Good point. Exactly. Prophet, exactly.
Up, and my feet were tied in a way. As soon as they tried to stand me up, bloop, rabbit flopped on the ground.
So after this incident had what they refer to as a trespass resisting arrest, what they refer to that as, after this all had transpired, what happened from there? Presumably they incarcerated
It took me, so they walked me out the side door so that the journalists outside could not get proper footage of this unconstitutional arrest and deprivation of rights under color of law. They walked me out the side door. I did notice that there was a drone overhead.
Yes.
So they did pull out a drone to observe this situation. So they put me in the cruiser. At this point, when I was being put into the cruiser, I did see one uniformed gentleman grab my F Biden sign and place it into his cruiser. And then I was driven around the block to the backside of the Easley Police Department, walked inside, stripped out of my rabbit outfit, my other belongings, and placed inside cell number 3 for the next 3 days.
Wow. And I also understand that during those 3 days, they didn't give you water, medicine.
So I immediately during the arrest interaction, I told the officers, because how heavily hands-on they went, I was screaming to them, I have a medical condition, and I explained to them I do suffer from Lyme disease and Epstein-Barr from years with this stuff. So that was already on the record with the arresting officers. When I got into the jail, I mentioned it again. And as we progressed through the days, I missed quite a few doses of my medicine. Mornings particularly are very, very bad for me. So I know when it's morning because I get very nauseous and everything just from laying throughout the night and everything settle. So I know that they were. They asked, "Do you want to eat?"
Hold on.
Can I have something other?
He says he gets nauseous in the nighttime. Why doesn't he say that in right now? Huh?
Oh, because he has his meds. He has his meds now.
Maybe he's taking medication and an evil snap. I don't know. Because I didn't know that he was taking medication.
Apparently he was, right?
Yeah.
Than what you're providing. I don't know what they were providing. It was something they would throw in the microwave in a plastic wrapper. I'm not sure. If there could have been a piece of bread or anything, I would have taken that. Something other than that, where I know that there's nothing there. They clearly wouldn't provide me with my medication or any sort of, you know, facilitation towards that. I mentioned it numerous times. I even, when I would do the intercom asking if the judge was available, because I was still sick at that point, is the judge available? I'm getting close to missing
Oh,
my third
really?
dose
Yeah,
at this
okay.
point. Is someone available that I could talk with? Can I make a phone call? Wasn't able to make a phone call or anything. When the judge was finally available to see me, one of the officers came over and said the judge is coming in, and I pleaded with him, can I please have a cup for some water? And he's like, the judge, you're going to see you in a minute. I was like, dude, please, I just want some water. Clearly you can see that I've just been vomiting for 20 minutes. I'm sweating, I'm freaking crying, my face is all pale. I just need some water. So he gave me a little styrofoam cup to have, but they would not let me keep that after I saw the judge. So since then I had to cut my hands for some water. Yeah.
So then you were able to bond out, correctly?
So I had to call 4 different bondsmen myself. The first one I called came
What did they set
and
your bond at?
$1,500, 400 and some dollars for the trespass, and then 1,000 for the
And you
resisting.
have to post 10% of that, right?
If I did myself, yes. So I'd like to go through this sequence of events really quickly. I did call one. She said that she's on her way. She came down, realized I'm an out-of-state resident, bailed. Called some others. They came down to the same thing. So 3 bondsmen failed and just totally gimped out. The power of the people calling and calling more, because they wouldn't let me call other people at that point. I was trying. So other people called and were able to get a bondsman to come down, and someone, a beautiful, amazing patriot, was who bonded me out. So the bond was taken care of by a supporter of the movement, and we got out.
That was Andrea.
And I do want to notate,
How much you want to make a
saw
bet? That was
change in
Andrea.
the demeanor of the personnel
What?
the third morning, getting
What he just
closer
said.
to the time,
She bailed him out.
because
Oh,
I
yeah.
could hear that they were talking about the rabbit and things like that. And then one of the people that came down was a dispatcher, Bethany Robinson. She actually stood there for about 30 minutes or so and let me make more phone calls to try and sort out this situation. So she worked with me closer to the end, but I do believe that was because of the pressure that was coming on from all the phone calls. Plus, it was getting very close to the time that I would have been moved to county, so I think she did want to get me out of there.
Mm-hmm. So at this point, you've been charged. Have they formally served you with a criminal complaint?
I was given whatever paperwork they use down here, whatever formalities and stuff that they given. Yep, they charged me with that. So I have a court date for August 1st.
Wow. So during that 3 days you spent in jail, how was that? Talk to me about the cell you were staying in. Did you have to board with anybody?
So I was by myself, single cell, terrible, very cold. They gave me one blanket finally about 15 hours in. I asked for a blanket finally, never turned the lights off. I mean, anyone who's been in jail, they know the process. Overall, it was, for the situation of how egregious it was, for the clear deprivation of rights, the experience was okay. There's nothing that's, it was a bad ringer. They didn't abuse me. Everyone was decently cordial. There were some new officers that were doing booking and everything, and they were decent. There was some stuff that needs to be worked on, but towards the end was when it got better. Like I said, there's some names out there. So those people, they did well. The other ones that I dealt with, they definitely need some training on just basic human decency.
Yeah. So has this whole experience, has it changed you at all, or?
No, not at all. This is exactly what we do when we stand up for freedom. Unfortunately, everyone's like, oh, well, why don't you get arrested? This, that, and the other. Arrest doesn't always have to implement change. We can have change done without having to go to the realms of the arrest. And this is what I was telling some other people when they reached out. Unfortunately, easily went above and beyond what was called for, and very, very quickly, I just proved in Charlotte County, Florida, that they don't need to go hands-on to still get a trespass issue. the fact that they did all this very quickly and learning more about this, no, it hasn't changed me at all. If anything, it reaffirms the fact that what we're doing is we're on the right path here. We're pointing out corruption and everything that our founding fathers would never have stood for. And that's the reason they wrote those documents for us. So we as a people can hold those who serve us accountable. So my path was led here to expose some corruption. So if anything, it just reaffirms that the white rabbit follows the rabbit hole wherever it may lead.
Was there body camera footage of this incident? Were they wearing body cam, or is there surveillance camera footage?
I do believe there's all of the above for this. However, this is where we may run into some problems trying to attempt this, to attempt to gain access to this footage from what I'm learning with South Carolina.
Okay, why do you think so?
Well, there's some things that I've heard from other activists and people in the community here. South Carolina has some stuff on the books that makes it very, very hard to obtain body cam footage.
We're gonna see.
Yeah, we definitely are going to see. That is crazy. Do you think that the case against you moves forward, or the state declines to prosecute? What do you think?
If there is a smart prosecutor here within the whatever it is, Pickens County or
State's
within
attorney.
the state, yeah, if someone's smart and they honor the Constitution, then they would drop this very soon, because the intent to sue for a federal lawsuit is inbound to Easley, South Carolina, for their clear deprivation of rights under color of law. This is a blatant unconstitutional violation of our rights, especially as the agent of the press. I was treated in such a way that it's very reminiscent of World War II Germany. So if they were smart and honored the oath that they put forward and honor those pieces of paper that we live by, the law of the land, they would drop these charges. And I did ask the judge to drop these charges based on those facts. And the judge said, you can talk to the next judge.
Wow. Well, here's what I can say. At this process and at this time, I have submitted a Freedom of Information request for all records. That includes charging documents. I want to get surveillance camera footage if they have it, body camera footage. I can tell you on my end, we are not going to let this go. We will be calling into the mayor of Easley, and we will also
good luck.
We will also be attempting to reach out to the governor of South Carolina. We are going to figure out what's going on here, and if there's corruption, if there is an abuse of power in South Carolina, in Easley, South Carolina, we are going to see that through. And obviously, with stories like this, they are tragic. They are just as unfortunate as anything, because this is not the way citizens should be treated. It's a public building. The taxpayers paid for it. You had every right to be in that video.
And Levi, this is
in that building. I'm sorry.
This is way more developing than just a white rabbit being arrested. From what we're learning, it goes way deeper. We are getting some stuff on the mayor for using funds for whatever, God knows. They're paying buku's bucks to appease this guy. So we're learning a lot more about Easley. So the rabbit hole just gets deeper and deeper as I dive. So people are hearing about this story and gaining the will to come forward and voice what's going on in the community. So we're learning a lot about Easley. This is a huge developing story.
Yeah. Yes, it is. And it's one that we all will be on, and one that we will all follow as your case moves forward. And we will have our hands all over it. But I just want to close out in saying that I apologize for what you went through last week. Just a completely unfortunate situation. We are all wishing you the best, and we hope that there is a good end resolution to all this, and that we don't see things like this continually happen, because obviously it's a tragic situation. So thank you very much for joining us. You shared with us a very powerful story, and again, I just want to thank you for speaking on it today.
Thank you for your time. Rabbit lives matter.
Amen.
Mm.
Thank you very much.
Interesting.
Very.
Very interesting, guys. What? Okay, guys. 12 for Live is gonna be live at 6:30 in 3 minutes. Guys, go to support him. I'm gonna end this, and tomorrow you guys are gonna be part 2. Oh, I got evidence. You my peony pants evidence. And rest of don't after I end this, don't leave. I gotta show you something. Okay, guys.
Okay.
Don't forget, go to see 12 for Life. He's going live today. Peace out, guys. Thanks for coming. And please support, please share everyone all about Lion One. And please, guys, give me an update on Jersey Watcher, please. Thank you. Love you guys. And Gio, keep doing what you do the best. You know? Love you all. Yeah. No, it was 2 years ago. Yes.